And it is 11 o'clock in the West. Time for another edition of Drive Time Radio with your good pal, New York Vinnie. Good morning. How are you? Me? I'm doing all right, I got to tell you. Been out already this morning to Cars and Coffee down at in Shoreline there, and got to have a good conversation with a bunch of people. And I always love that, man. I always love getting out and talking to people and you know, talking cars. Although I got to admit, the conversation got a little deeper than cars this morning. Excuse me 1 minute here. I'm plugging in I just noticed in my fever to get here and get on the air, I forgot to plug in my microphone, which is never a good thing. And so I'm doing that right now. And now you should hear me a little bit better, at least with that microphone, as we employ the Shure microphone, which every podcaster has to have. Have you noticed that? Like everybody's got a microphone now. Everybody's got a microphone. You walk around, everybody's got a microphone. Anytime you see an interview on the news, or everybody's got a microphone. You know, a microphone used to be reserved for people that didn't have a microphone. You know, that it was a special thing. I mean, you had to be in a studio. You had to be somewhere to have a microphone. There was even microphone technique that you were taught, like you were taught to back up from the microphone and to lean into it when you were trying to make a point. By the way, here's my microphone right here. I keep it hidden off to the side because I don't have a microphone ego. I did it one time. Somewhere I saw somebody that had one of them boom arms, them extendable arms, and they would put their elbow on the table and they would pull the microphone like right up to their mouth, and they would intimately talk to you. But the reality here is that the microphone doesn't make the performer doesn't make the microphone. It only can make you sound a little better. But long ago, I realized that there was nothing that could make me sound any better than what I sound, which is this is what it is here. Anyway, so I got up this morning, went out to Cars and Coffee, saw the crowd in Shoreline Cars and Coffee, went out, saw the crowd, huge crowd today, man, absolute huge crowd. I was very impressed with how many people were out there and the different types of cars. I pulled up with the Yo Vinnie car of the week, and which we'll show you here in just a second. And pulled up with the and immediately got into some deep conversations. First about cars, and second about life. And I love when you get that surprise. What would you call it? Conversation among guys. And we're all sitting there talking to each other, and all of a sudden the conversation kind of takes a left turn, and it's not about politics. It's not, it was about guys and how different we have become, for the most part, as a group, over the last 30 or 40 years. We were talking about listen, we were talking about guys that go to therapy and seek counseling when they have problems and stuff like that. And believe you me, there's no place that I have been to 30 or 40 years ago, maybe a little longer than that, where guys would have openly talked about that, where that would have been something that people would have said, oh, yeah, well, I've gone to it, and I've gone. It doesn't happen. But, as a group, we were sitting there and the conversation went that way, and everybody opened up their feelings about it. And I thought it was a great thing. You never know what when you talk to people, I guess is what I'm trying to say. When you talk to people, you never really know what great thing is going to happen. When you sit down and you converse with people, you try not to be argumentative. You just try to be a person that talks and understands people, and so on and so forth. Anyway, it was a great moment, and I was very very excited about it. And so I came back, and like I said, we'll see some pictures in our Yo Vinnie this morning. I snuck them in with our Yo Vinnie presentation. So you'll see that in a few minutes. How you guys doing out there today? You doing all right? Good. Yeah, I'm doing okay too. I wish we'd see some more sun. We're still bereft of sun up here. But people have been bringing their cars out, and that's what's nice. It was nice to go down to Shoreline, see the number of cars that were out. Boy, there's just so many unbelievable cars. I ran into one guy's got a '68 Camaro that was just like, mwah. Oh man, did I love this car? I love looking at this car. A red Camaro. I think it was a Rally Sport or a Super Sport. I think it was a Super Sport. I'm sorry I have to interrupt, but my throat is very raw this morning for some reason. And so I wanted to make sure that my voice gets lubricated. So I'm drinking a little Pellegrino this morning. So anyway, if you ever get a chance to go over to Cars and Coffee, you can look them up on Facebook. Just go Shoreline Cars and Coffee, and you'll see where they are. They meet every morning, every Saturday morning at 8 o'clock in the morning, rain or shine. These people are out there. So, and it was really done my heart good today to see somebody bring a little kid out to look at the cars. I mean, I was looking at that kid. I was thinking, man, I was that kid 60 years ago, and walking along the Shore Boulevard in Astoria Park, looking at the different cars, or looking at the cars that would come into my father's gas station, or anyway. I was car crazy. I was car nuts. My father used to take bets on when I would look at cars. I used to be able to tell you the year, make, and model of any car that I saw. When I was young, when I was 5, 6 years old, I could do this. And my father used to bet with people, and he'd win the bets. So I got my first allowance. I said, Dad, you got to cut me in. Anyway, um, so anyway, yeah, we got a lot to get to today. A lot of news around the world of automotive. We will start things off. We'll talk a little bit about what I think is one of the biggest stories of the week, um, and that is the Toyota rolling out the new 4Runner. I mean, that thing, that design was getting a little long in the tooth. But the 2025 4Runner that was introduced this week is, I think, going to be a winner. I'm a 4Runner fan. I think it's one of the best four-wheel drive vehicles that you can get. I've owned 3 of them. Yeah, 3 of them, and loved all 3 of them. And it's one, and it's not a wildly overpriced vehicle, and they're bulletproof. They run beautifully. They run forever. They're spacious. They're you sit in the thing, you sit up high. As far as a vehicle that will take you off road, I got to be honest with you, I don't know that any vehicle that I've seen better, save for maybe a Land Rover, that will take you off road and perform better off road than the Forerunner. Now, one of the things that I saw in the new Forerunner that I really I'm like in love with it is the fact that the rear window opens up separately from the tailgate. I know it seems like a small little picayune thing, but I always love I love that in a car because you can open it up and put the tailgate window up and drive along and put breeze through the car. You don't have to run the air conditioning. You can put enough breeze through the car just by driving that thing down the street with two of the front windows open and the back open that you can, you can get the breeze that you need. So the breeze that you need, I like that. Um, Sixth generation of the Forerunner. They've redone the frame, and listen, it was getting a little old. 15 years they had been in the same trim. A little old for some people, but perfect if you had one that was 15 years old because it didn't look any different really that much from what was out there. Um, the highlights of this thing, the I-Force, which I drove just last week in the Toyota um, Tundra, which we'll talk about a little bit later. The Turbo 4 makes 278 horsepower. Some will get the I-Force Max Hybrid. It'll give you 326 horsepower. It'll take on a lot of the Tacoma. Now, if you remember back, if you've been a Forerunner fan a long time, you remember that the original Forerunner would, look like the what was it, the Hilux, the old Toyota small pickup truck. I mean, it was kind of a derivative off of that. But from the looks of it, it will look like a Tacoma, and it will retain the 8-speed automatic transmission, the new frame that is you see on the Tacoma and on the Land Cruiser, which a sturdy frame. Many people that saw this, especially the folks at Car and Driver, said that they think it looks more like a Tacoma SUV than ever before. And in looking at the pictures of it, I would I would say that they're pretty spot on. Um, and listen, the Tacoma is one of the most successful Toyotas out there. So why would you not go with something? The wheelbase is lengthened, more body mount clearance, larger tires, and it goes from 109 to 112 inches. And and it looks more muscular. They've put these lines up in the back quarter panels that gives it I don't know, it almost looks like it's ready to sprint off the line. Uh, the rear side window, it keeps that piece where it rolls up into the top of the into the roof really, which I always liked about the styling in it. Inside, it looks like the Tacoma with a four-wheel drive transfer case control. The big touch screen in there, the big difference from the ones I had, and the TRD off-road that'll be coming through is so many people are talking a lot about it. The Tacoma TRD had a lot of besides its running, you have to live in this thing. So a lot of the buzz on the interior was that it was well laid out, well thought out, lots of places to put things, and easy to live in, which I would agree. So I just think that the this is going to be a huge hit for Toyota. That the 2025 um, you have the power rear window, which, I think I said before the rear window goes up. No, it's a power rear window. It goes down into the tailgate. I love the fact that the glass in the rear quarter panels, like it goes up into the roof. It's done that in the Forerunner um, since they were new, and it's just there's something about that. It distinctly puts the Forerunner apart from everything else. Of course, running boards, a new Trail Hunter version. I saw the Tacoma Trail Hunter at the auto show down in Portland. Great vehicle, and there's a a nice platinum grade Forerunner that's going to come along. That's more of a luxury Forerunner. That maybe you're not going to want that particular Forerunner if you want, if you want something a little bit more luxurious. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it will come in a hybrid version. If you get the TRD Pro, the Trail Hunter, and the Platinum, you're going to get the hybrid powertrain. If you want the TRD Off Road and Limited, you can add it as an option. So you'll get it on any. You can get it on any one of the Forerunners. What else is there to tell you about the Forerunner? It just looks like it's going to be a solid vehicle. So I don't know when it'll be in the showrooms, but it's on. It'll be there by the end of the year. And I think a lot of people. I think this is going to be a hit for Toyota. I think a lot of people listen already. The Tacoma is a hit, and this running off the looking a lot like a Tacoma, having the same feel to it that the Tacoma does. I just don't see this as anything but a hit for Toyota. So congratulations to Toyota for running this out there. They teased a little bit last week, and I think it was a solid vehicle. Looks like it's going to be a solid vehicle. I mean, obviously, you never know until you drive them, until you get in one, until you see it in person. But from what I've seen and what I've heard about this vehicle, this is a solid vehicle. All right. Um, it is this week National Work Zone Awareness Week. And, you know, I don't believe that people have to be told this, but they do. When you're in a work zone, slow down. Be aware. Since the start of 2024, 7 maintenance crew workers in Southwest Washington have already been sent to the hospital. A number of those drivers that struck those workers under the influence of drugs or alcohol. In 2023, there were 1,228 collisions. This is in Washington State, in a work zone, 28 serious injury related, and 10 fatal crashes. King County has the most. Snohomish second, Pierce third. And Clark County, 4. It's your top leaders in work zone crashes. It's ridiculous. And there's nothing that annoys me more when I slow down in a work zone and some butt wipe is on my tail, flashing their brights to go the speed limit instead of whatever they drop it to in the work zone. And a lot of times it's 40. I mean, there's a reason they do that. It's so that if you do make a mistake, that you have more time to get your car back in control. That maybe the collision won't be as serious. There's a huge difference between 40 and 70 in reaction time and everything else. And this is not just a Washington problem; it's a problem all over the country. Oregon has a serious problem with this. And when you see flashing lights visible ahead, you're supposed to move over into the next available lane or slow down to at least 5 miles an hour below the posted speed limit. That is the law. What they tell you, I mean, it's really pretty simple, a pretty simple thing. Pay attention and focus on the road. A lot of times the traffic patterns change. Drive sober, obey speed signs. As we just told you, move over, plan ahead, and fines. Remember, the fines double in Washington work zones, whether workers and signs are present or not. If it's a work zone, you get caught, the fine is double. And as we have seen so many times, I mean, we saw it here just a couple of weeks ago with the trooper that was killed on the side of the road, sitting there minding his own business, sitting in his vehicle, and all of a sudden, some drunk butt wipe smashes into him and kills him. It's just it's one of the things that as you get older annoys you more when you see people doing that. When you see somebody speeding through a work zone. When I was back in Pittsburgh a few years ago, some guy went through a work zone in Maryland and killed 6 people. Right, 6 people in one work zone in Maryland. Why? So I'm on the soapbox a little bit about this. You can go to the Washington Department of Transportation website, and there's more information there if that's what you wanna do. But I think it's something that as a show about driving, as a show about cars, it's incumbent upon us to say something about this, to try to pound it into your head that the people that are in these work zones are your brother, your sister, your cousin, your aunt, your father, your mother. All of these people have families. All of these people are out there at night, especially. All of them have stories, and I've talked to some in the past. All of them have stories about close calls. There's not a one that you ever talk to that doesn't have a story about a work zone incident. They're out there working, all of a sudden, some guy is, or some woman, it doesn't matter. All of a sudden, boom, they hit the back of a truck or an instant response truck or something like that because they're just speeding and not paying attention. So, I mean, listen, I don't mean to pound things into your head or be a I don't know, be like your mother or your father trying to tell you what to do. But this is something that's near and dear to my heart, near and dear to people. I think most sensible people. When you see a work zone, slow down. When you see people out there working, be cautious. Keep your eyes on what's going on. Get off of your damn phone and your texting and your iPad and your makeup and all of the other stuff that distracts you, and pay attention. Because there are people out there standing in that roadway, and if you hit them, generally you kill them. And what are they doing but trying to make the roadway better for you? All right. Um, O.J. Simpson passed away this week. And listen, it's, I've always believed he did it. I was kind of hoping, and who knows what they're going to find, but I was kind of hoping that OJ would leave a confession. Or that he did it. Admit to it and give some people some kind of closure on this, the families. Anyway, he passed away last Thursday, I think it was. And I think the thing that OJ now is most remembered for on that 90-minute long chase back in 1994, June 12th, in Al Cowling's white Ford Bronco. So, of course, it led me to wonder what the hell ever happened to that truck. Where did that white Bronco wind up? I guess the story of where it wound up, arguably America's most famous white Bronco, had an interesting history to it. It's changed hands a few times. It was the most odd thing about it. After the chase, but before the trial, this guy Michael Kroenig, who had a company called Starterfacts, offered to buy the car for $75,000. Al Cowlings initially agreed to the deal, but then found out that the company was going to rent the vehicle to a company in LA called Graveline Tours that visited famous graves, and they were going to reenact the chase with the Bronco and then take people to Nicole Simpson's grave. And the trial hadn't taken place yet, and they didn't want people thinking anyone associated with O.J. Simpson did this. So Cowlings backed out of the deal. And then three guys took ownership of the car. The car then resurfaced later on and appeared on the Strip in Las Vegas. And then 6 months after that, at a Connecticut exhibit. After that, it was moved to a Las Vegas parking lot, and one of the owners took it back to their home in Hanford, California. Then it was hidden under a tarp in a garage with the tires and the gas removed. And evidently, one of the owners, there's three guys that own this thing now, one of the owners didn't like that because they wanted to make sure that the car was kept in running condition. Now the car resides at the Alcatraz East Crime Museum in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee, where it has been put on display. It's placed alongside Ted Bundy's Volkswagen Beetle, a car used in the production of the Bonnie and Clyde movie from, what was that, 68, 69, something like that, and a car owned by gangster John Dillinger. I guess this Alcatraz East Crime Museum in Pigeon Forge has a lot of relics, and it's one of these places that people bizarrely go. And listen, I'm going to tell you, I would go see it too. So for those of you who want to say, "Oh, what sick kind of stuff is that?" Well, how sick can you be? Well, to be honest with you, you can be very sick because I would go see this. I don't know if I'd go to see the Bronco, but it's a famous car. I mean, OJ was in the back of that car with a gun to his head. And I've always said if Al Cowlings would have hit a bump on 405, maybe he would have saved everybody a lot of trouble. But Cowlings was a one-time Seahawk, by the way. Al Cowlings. I guess the Bronco only has about 32,000 miles on it, so it's a famous car. And of course, we bring that now uh, to think about it as we, look at the death of O.J. Simpson. I mean, that car was so. Um, I mean, to think about the influence that that white Bronco has on our society even today, when Ford was going to introduce the new Bronco, or the new Bronco that's running around now. Uh, I guess I don't know how they did this, but they wound up scheduling the introduction of the vehicle for the same day as the chase. What was it, June 12th, I think? And they quickly changed their mind about that. The white Bronco is the second most viewed car in American history after the JFK limousine, which I have seen. It's at the Henry Ford Museum in Michigan, Dearborn, Michigan. So, anyway, the car was, as I said, went to the luxury. It now resides. If you want to see the car, uh, again, it is out there for you to see. If you plan a trip to Branson, you can stop in Pigeon Forge, I guess. And as I said, it's on display out there. I think Gilbert, the guy that owns it, one of the three guys that own it, uh, say the car's not for sale. I wonder how much that car is worth. Who would buy that car at auction? Somebody would. You know somebody would. As I said, it's still a part of pop culture today. So that's where the O.J. Simpson Bronco is, and certainly a car that as this guy Gilbert said, and rightly so. Uh, he's in no rush to get rid of the car. He knows it's going to be his value, and if he doesn't sell it, his kids and his grandchildren will get it as part of his estate. All right, enough about OJ and that horrible chapter in American life. What do you say we jump on one of our favorite features here? I love doing it.
Yo, Vinny, what are you driving this week?
Hey, Nathan, there you go. This week, driving the Hornet. Yes, whoever thought you'd drive a Hornet again? But yet, Dodge has their little small crossover, the 2024 Dodge Hornet. This is the RT edition. uh, RT Plus actually, and I have to tell you that I'm not going to say I've fallen in love with the car, but it really is a lot better than I expected it to be. I thought, I don't know, one of those things you look at and you say, geez, what am I gonna see here? And again, pleasantly surprised both with the construction of the car, the spaciousness of the car, the handling of the car, although maybe a little too much torque steer, and the comfort of the car. Getting into it and how comfortable this car has been engineered by the folks at Stellantis. Really nice job. I mean, it has a couple of attributes that I really like. Number one, it's a plug-in hybrid. So you'll get to, and you'll see that. So you get 40 something miles or 30 something miles on electric power. So if you're driving it around town, you don't even have to waste gasoline. And the torque from the electric motor is pretty good. When you put that power shot mode, which is the little handle on the wheel there, or the little button on the wheel, you can go to 60 miles per hour in 5.5 seconds. Now, that's the same as the Alfa Romeo Tonale, but it's quick. The interior is well laid out. Maybe the entertainment screen could be a little bit better and have a little bit less lag to it, but it's Italian. It runs in its own time. But again, nicely crafted, well thought out, and the screen, like I say, could use a little bit more. The sport button there is what you hit, and the fun begins because it engages the torque. Here is Cause It Coffee this morning. You can see the crowd there out Shoreline, and I love that Econoline pickup truck. Oh, do I love that vehicle? That one in the Corvair version of it. Just spectacular vehicles, and here it is, the star of the show. Lots of people gathering around it, talking about it. It certainly gets people talking. What is it? What does it do? How much horsepower? All of that kind of stuff. And like I said, I've been now with this car 3 days. I've taken it around everywhere I've gone with this car. People have asked about it. I think that it's a good looking car. We'll have a full review on it coming up next week. But so far, I'm impressed with it. I've not taken it out on the highway yet to give it a real test, but it is an impressive vehicle. It rides well on the city streets. Again, I love the option of having the electricity in there so you can plug in, and it looks a little different than everything else out there. I like that it's dodged up, that it's RT'd up. It looks like it's, I love the shadow shot there. I like the silhouette of this vehicle. You're driving something that is not like everybody else is driving. Hood scoops in the hood. It wouldn't be a Dodge performance vehicle if it didn't have hood scoops. But once again, the Dodge Hornet RT is what I'm driving this week. Look at it, got the Brembo brakes. I mean, it's really a performance tune. You can buy yourself a regular one, and that's okay. And it's, but this hybrid is, it gives you a little bit more pizzazz, a little bit more oomph, a little more,
Just plug in. I'm ready.
a little more plug-in ability, and a little more electric, which is, as I say, I think really handy around town. So that is the Hornet. Yes, the same name as the old AMC Hornet, but it's not an AMC, it's a Dodge. And it is, as I said, a very cool vehicle. And I think that I'm going to have a lot of fun driving this vehicle this week. It's, it's one of those vehicles that it's new, it's a bit different. It's the same as the Alfa Romeo Tonale, which we saw at the auto show, I think a year and change ago. And I know, listen, a lot of people are shy about Italian cars, but because the reliability is, you know, but the Italians have two cars that I'm very interested in driving. The first one is this one, this Dodge Hornet RT Hybrid RT Plus, and the other one is the Fiat 500e, which is the all electric Fiat Cinquecento, the 500. I'm very excited about driving that when it gets into the press fleet as well. But both great cars. As far as first impression on this one, on the Hornet, I'm not. I haven't been impressed by the Fiat yet because I haven't driven it, but I've driven the Fiat 500, and to be honest with you, I really like the car. I know they're not selling; they're selling bupkis of these cars, but I like the Fiat. I like the cloth roof that goes back. I just, especially the Abarth, which I don't think they're making anymore. But that little Fiat 500 Abarth was a fun little car to drive. Now again, I don't have the repair history with them. I don't have to, I mean, if a car goes belly up on me, I call the company, come get your car. But that little Fiat 500, I had a few of them. I love that car. I was, matter of fact, I've been kind of, saying to myself, I have to at some point get a car, and if one came across my path cheap enough, I wouldn't mind rolling around town in that. That'd be a fun car to have. That'd be a nice little car to take out to events and remotes and things like that. So that's our Yo Vinny. What are you driving this week? Um, we did get, we tried to get the people from Burgermaster on last week, and we couldn't get it to work out. But as we said last week, Burgermaster has taken over the Triple X root beer, and so it will be out open so for people to gather there. Hopefully very soon. I mean, they won't have it open as a full Burgermaster until I don't know early next year. But they're going to put a food truck out there while they're remodeling it. I hope they're not going to get rid of the Triple X on the Triple X actually is 6X's on the root beer barrel sign. I hope they keep that. Maybe you can do it like I don't know, Burger Master at Triple X root beer or something like that. There's probably some way you can put that together. But that's another place where so many people are gathering. Car freaks gather up and and get together. So it's almost like you always have a car show going. So pretty cool. All right. Let's see what else we have. Oh yes, I did want to also wrap and flap a bit about. Sorry about this. I lost my place, which I always hate doing. I do not like losing my place, but sometimes that happens to me. Um, so we just go over here, and um, the other thing that I saw in the the pages of Auto Week, which is a great EV website, is a good article by Todd Lassa, who is talking about, is this a good time to buy a used EV? And right now, as you know, the prices for new EVs have fallen down. People are very, um, I don't know, they're wondering about EVs. Some companies are going back to uh, plug-in hybrids because people are a little bit afraid of getting an EV-only car that whether it's been pounded in their heads with, that politically or whatever. But they've been, the EV reputation has been sullied, and auto dealers are a little, I don't know, a little. I don't want to say reticent in trading in EVs, but they're certainly not. Don't seem to be very prepared for it. Um, uh, there's even a company online now that is helping automakers get rid of off-lease EVs. But a lot of these EVs now are starting to come off lease, and they're going out to auction, or people are dissatisfied with it for one reason or another. So they're saying, "Hey, you know what? I don't know that I want to continue with an EV," so they want to sell it. And so the question becomes, would you buy a used EV? Would you be someone who says, that's not a bad deal there. You want, I don't know. I was watching the Car Edge guys. They had one guy that was on, oh, was it the Consumer Reports? Yeah. Consumer Reports bought a Fisker Ocean, which is a company that's been struggling mightily lately. A lot of people think they're going to go out of business. But they bought this Fisker Ocean a few months ago for around $75,000. Consumer Reports doesn't take free cars from the manufacturers like I do. All the cars that I drive are provided to me by the manufacturers. So I don't have to, because I couldn't do this if I had to go out and buy a car every week or even rent a car every week. But in this case, they provide me the cars. I drive them, I test them, I tell you about them. The Consumer Reports, because they don't want to be influenced by any car company, and I can really tell you that I haven't been influenced by any car company. I don't go on the trips and all that other stuff that they do. Um, we wind up that they pay for their vehicles. They buy their vehicles, they test them, and then they resell them. Well, they bought this Fisker Ocean, paid around 75 grand for it, and the value of the car, because you can now buy a brand new Fisker Ocean for around $25,000. That's right. You could buy a brand new Fisker Ocean for around 25,000 bucks if you want to take a chance that that company is going to be around for a while. Because what do you do about that car if you buy one, you can't get parts for it? Although something tells me that parts will be around for it. Somebody will buy those parts from Fisker at auction and probably make money off it. But it really has dropped the value of Fisker's car, of a Consumer Reports car, to in the teens. I mean, I think that I forget if it was $12,000 or $14,000 that the car was worth. You want to talk about taking a depreciation hit? You go from $75,000 4 months ago to $12,000. But because of the electric car situation and people still don't have faith and trust in them, um, there are bargains to be had out there. I guess the thing really comes down to, would you buy a used EV? I would. I would take a chance. From what I know about EVs, I just don't see that they're going to go away. You're not going to be able to get a charger. Um, that you're going to be able to get what you need to keep this EV running. There is, of course, as we've covered on this show before, a lot of talk about getting the White House to back down on some of the new EPA fuel economy standards and so on and so forth. But everybody I know that bought an EV, that owns an EV, has loved it. They don't always love the charging situation, which always seems to have a glitch in it somewhere. But for the most part, so if you want that EV experience, if you want to try it out, plenty of these people who bought EVs, 2020, 21, 22, 23, they're putting them on the market. Either they're buying new EVs because they can upgrade a year or two or three at a decent price right now, or they are done with the EV experience. They don't want to put up with some of the changes that you have to go through to charge one of these cars, to travel with one of these cars. There's a certain, if you are one of the first people to buy these things, there's certain changes that you're going to have to go through. You got to find a charging station. You have to plan your trips out better. There's a lot of changes that you have to go through. But if you do go through those changes, you get a spectacular car, I think, in most cases. I don't know that I've driven an EV yet, with the possible exception of the Mazda EV. The only reason I didn't like that is it only had 100 miles range. It was basically a useless car. Unless you were going to the deli or something like that. And I think Mazda built that car for carbon credits, built that car so they could um, participate and have an electric vehicle out there. I think their EVs and their hybrids are going to be a different design with that. That was a car just to say we could do it. Wasn't a horrible car. It's just, again, 100 miles of range. Where you going with 100 miles of range? I mean, 100 miles of range, you're not even really sure you want to drive around town. You get out to the beach and back, and you've lost 40% of your battery. So, anyway, it's an interesting conundrum, interesting article. Lots of information out there on EVs. So if you're thinking of buying one, if you're thinking that that might be the good way for you to go, I would say, do your research and look at used. Look at, and you can obviously, obviously, if you're going to buy one of these things, the biggest tip I will give you is take it to the mechanic. Have the battery tested. Make sure that the battery is good. Make sure that it'll hold a charge. There have been stories of cars that have sat on dealers' lots, and because the batteries weren't recharged over a long period of time, the batteries were now failing. They weren't holding a charge as long. So that's something that you should look at if you are thinking that you might want to buy this car, might want to buy a used electric. get a checklist, talk to somebody that knows about cars, and find out if it's a thing for you. Listen, it's not for everybody right now. These cars are not for everybody right now. But if the car fits what you need to do, they're a great experience. And I think as we go along, it'll even be a better experience. One other thing that we're going to do now, not next week, but the week after, we will have our annual Mudfest show. That's right. It is spring is in the air. A young man's fancy turns to driving cars through the mud. It is the NWAPA, Northwest Automotive Press Association annual Mudfest event. That is going on. Not this coming Monday, but Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday of next week. And we will be out at the track and frolicking through the woods and on the road and taking these cars around for review. And we will come up with the best Northwest activity vehicle. It's not just the going through the woods, but we try to look at vehicles that are Northwest type activity vehicles, the cars that and light trucks that most fit the Northwest lifestyle. And we've had some interesting winners, interesting surprises. Subaru always does good in these competitions, and it is a competition. You get 20 automotive journalists that gather over 2 days, and we test drive the cars both on a track and on a facility that's built up to simulate off-road driving. It's got mud, it's got hills, it's got extreme hills, it's got everything. It's a whole lot of fun. I don't think they'll be out there this year, but 2 years in a row, I got to drive a Rolls Royce, a $450,000 Rolls Royce through a mud pit. And I got to be honest with you, that doing that alone is something that everybody should put on their bucket list. It's a fantastic feeling to drive a car worth that much through a hole full of mud. It's therapeutic when you really get down to it. It makes you feel good when you get down to it. Oh man, what a life sometimes I get to lead. I'm really so many times I call myself the luckiest guy in the world because I get to drive these incredible cars and tell you about them. It's really something great. All right, I wanted to okay, I wanted to all right, we'll save that for next week. We'll do a double review. I did the I'm having technical problems with my computer. And I don't know if they're me or they're the computer. I'm not sure. But we will do a double review next week. We will have the review of the Toyota Tundra Toyota Tundra TRD, excuse me, TRD I-Force pickup truck, which is just a whole lot of pickup truck. It's just a large contingent of pickup truck. It's a lot of pickup truck. So we'll have the review for that. Don't forget that you can find me on social media at just go at NYVinnie, at NYVINNIE, and you'll find me on X, you'll find me on Facebook, you find me on all of the social media channels. I'm there somewhere. All you got to do is look for me. and I'm there. And we really appreciate you listening to the show. And we will be back next week with more automotive conversation news. And probably have a list next week of what cars will be at Mudfest. We'll be able to give you that and a lot more stuff. So thank you so much for watching and listening to Drive Time Radio. I'm New York Vinnie, and we will catch up with you Monday morning with Michael Knight. Monday morning at 10:10, if the Lord's willing and the creek don't rise. Have a very good and very safe weekend. Bye-bye. And thanks again for listening.